Welcome to the Marketing Stir podcast by Stirista, where we chat with industry leaders and get their take on the challenges facing the market. And maybe we'll have a little fun along the way. On this week's episode of the Marketing Stir podcast, Janis Fratamico from DXC Technologies joins Ajay and Vincent to discuss B2B and event marketing strategies for a Fortune 500 technology company.
Ladies and gentlemen, welcome to another episode of Stirista's The Marketing Stir. I am your host, happy as ever, Vincent Pietrafesa, the Vice President of B2B Products and Partnerships here at Stirista. It is so good to talk to you. Look how happy I am. I'm realizing this cream-colored sweater, not a great choice. I'm matching, normally I'm tanner than this, I'm Italian, and I'm looking at it now on screen. If you're watching us on screen, not a great choice. But I like the little pop of color with the collar here. But hey, only I could compliment myself, apparently. Anyway, it's great to be back. Let me talk to you about Stirista just for a few seconds. That's all. We don't take advertising in this podcast. Just who are we? We are a marketing technology company. We own our own B2B data, B2C data. We help companies access that data through our own technology, our own email sending platform, demand side platform. We help companies get new customers. Who doesn't like that? Email me if you're interested in Stirista at vincent@stirista.com. I just gave you my email address. Am I nuts? Of course I am, a little bit. Who's also not as nuts as I am, but he is calm, he's cool, he's collected. I'm happy to see him. If you're watching us, coming in with the clean shave, happy. He's got a haircut. He must have known I was going to be on. Ladies and gentlemen, Mr. Ajay Gupta. What's going on, Ajay?
Hey, Vincent. Yeah, I think 150 episodes in, this might be maybe the second or third one where I've been clean shaven. So, but I figured it's a new start to the year. I was actually at the barber's today and thought of you this morning. So, but it was getting long even for me. So I thought you would frown upon it if I showed up to the first podcast of the year.
I felt like your barber was just taking advantage of you because every time you said you got a haircut, I was like, is this barber just taking a millimeter off? Like, this is ridiculous. But no, it's ready. And now I'm going to see you in a few weeks.
Yes.
So let's see what happens then.
Yeah, let's see if I can keep up the clean shaven regimen. I have not been good about it in the past, so it's going to be a challenge.
It's a new year. Let people see that face, AJ. Let people see that face. But a lot's been going on. I felt like because of the holidays, we haven't spoken to our dare I say, well, I was going to say fans, but listeners, but maybe fans. Who knows if they're fans? People come up to me. Fans are great, right? They come up to me at different conferences and hey, we love the podcast. So keep that up. But yeah, I haven't spoken to you. A lot going on. You've been especially busy, right? I know that you've been not only enjoying your in-laws who are visiting you, you're a big fan of, this time with them. However, you've been busy with, some nice acquisitions here, nice, amazing companies joining Stirista, one of those being Magnetic, a creative agency in New York. Tell us about that.
Yeah, so it's a agency based out of the Chelsea area. So we actually are going to have a full-fledged office in Manhattan for the first time. And actually had to check with Vincent whether or not Chelsea is considered Manhattan. He thought it was hilarious that I was checking with him. But yeah, it's a B2B agency, so it's right up your alley. And they have some pretty big clients on their roster, and we'll talk about it more soon. And then we're not quite ready to give the other acquisition we did, but we did do another acquisition in New York as well. So we have done 2 acquisitions in the last month. So it's a little bit crazy and nuts. But yeah, I heard my in-laws were coming, so I figured I'd do some acquisitions to be on the road for a while.
Yeah, exactly. You're going to get out there good. I need an excuse too. You're like, I'm going to say AJ needs me next time. But yes, full-fledged, as opposed to just my office here. But we'll talk about what's going to happen to come, and then the New York office is here. That'll be a nice little side podcast that we have. But AJ, let's talk about this next guest. I'm so glad it's one of those guests. You hear me say it, not a lot, maybe 5 times in all of the 150, 160 episodes. I feel like, how do I not know this person? I feel like I've known her a very long time, right? Speaking, she knows where Chelsea is. She knows that Chelsea is in Manhattan. She is a New Yorker herself. Does she still live in New York? We'll see. I've been giving her, some hard time about that, but she is amazing. Ladies and gentlemen, please welcome. She's the Vice President of Marketing at DXC Technology, my friend, Janis Fratamico. What's going on, Janis?
We probably are related in some way. We're gonna have to go into my 23andMe after this and find out where the connection is.
Exactly. I know. I'm always scared to do 23andMe. Part of me is like, A, it's a waste of money because like maybe a meatball would come back in the mail because I'm clearly Italian, or they'll tell me that I'm not 100% Italian and I'll be so disappointed. But
I pretty much got a meatball in the mail.
nice. I love it. I love it. Yeah, no, you're one of those people I feel like when we first talked that I was like, wait, yeah, how do we not know each other? How are we not related? Right.
Yeah.
That's one thing. But great. Speaking of, yeah, again, New York, speaking of B2B, right? There's a lot of things we're going to talk about. You came highly recommended as someone like, you should talk to from our own Peter Stein. I won't say, you said you guys went to high school together, but I don't see it. I'm like, I was like, Peter, he must have been your teacher. There's no way.
Yes.
Yeah. He's anxious. He's eager he's already asking me when we're recording this episode. He's going to be listening. So we'll hear that comment. So I have about a month or so before he gets mad at me. But Janis, it's so good to see you. I hope you enjoyed the holidays. And let's get right into it. DXC Technology. Tell us about the company and then your role in particular there. We'd love to learn more about that.
Yeah, sure. We're an IT services company. We run the gamut between our heritage, which is around IT infrastructure and support of outsourcing and hosting a company's infrastructure, and consulting and engineering services, which is more of the kind of work that competes with the likes of a Deloitte or an Accenture and IBM. So it's a very broad IT services company in a very active space, working with clients on their AI strategy. They're moving forward their quantum strategy. A lot of what we talk about right now in the zeitgeist, and leaning into a lot of new technology and services that are going to make a very big competitive difference for a lot of our customers moving forward.
Yeah, and this is one of those companies. It's a Fortune 500 company. And people.
Yeah, it's huge.
It's huge, and you're like, I was like, wait, I don't think I've heard of this company, but
and that's part of our challenge right there. Yeah, it's a huge company, and a lot of people haven't heard of it. Part of it is because of our heritage was coming from CSC and HP, and it was a merger of parts of those two companies, and then the acronym DXC, which technically doesn't really stand for anything, although we talk about it, meaning delivering excellence to our customers, but we've got to get our name out there. But yeah, we do have about 150,000 people worldwide. So we're not an insignificant company in terms of size and scope.
Let's take a step back. Talk to us how it started. How did you study marketing? How did you get into this? You have a great resume of companies and a technology space, SAP, right? For one, IBM, right? Another. So talk to us about the journey. Was it a clear-cut path?
Doesn't a lot of it just happen by accident? I can't say any of it was planned. None of it was planned. I think when I started out, I think I wanted to be in PR. And, I went to Penn State, studied communications and political science. I think my dream was to be the press secretary for the president. I think that was like my dream job at the time. And then you just things happen by accident. And I started out early in my career, just because you go where you get a job. And earlier in my career, I was doing a little bit of advertising, a little bit of PR for small companies. And then I was working for an events company. And then a friend of mine at the events company got a job at KPMG. And it was the first time she was making real money. And she was being promoted and was able to she was going to move to Germany. And I remember they said to her, you can move to Germany, but you have to find somebody to backfill your job. And there was no way in the world that I was remotely capable or ready to fill her position. I was sitting there literally doing events for AT&T and ABC soap operas. And I did not belong at KPMG doing marketing for one of their most significant practices, but I got the job. And it's sort of, I used to work for somebody that, would say like disrupt ready. Like I wasn't ready, but I went into the position. I was making real money for the first time in my life. I was working for like a real company with a real name that everybody knew. And that was it. I like kind of grew into it. And from there I was in the B2B technology space, and it was purely by accident. And it grew from there. And then I've really had the benefit of having loved so many things about marketing, like PR and sports and sponsorships and events and stuff like that. I was able to find my place within all of those companies where I was doing meaningful, impactful marketing, but still really having fun because I was doing the stuff that I really had a passion for.
Yeah, since I only get to ask this question at the start of the year, what are some things you're excited about for 2025?
Oh, wow. There's a lot of things I'm excited about. But you know what? Frankly, I think you should ask that question no matter what, because I feel like January 1st is such a fake date that we put so much pressure on ourselves. Like, oh my gosh, that's when I have to like drink less or lose weight, when, I should be drinking more water and focusing on all kinds of healthy things all year round. So ask that all the time. There's a lot of things I'm excited about in 2025. I've only recently joined DXC Technology, and there's a huge opportunity for impact at this company, which is what was the most exciting thing to me when I was made an offer to join it. And we've got a new CMO. She's just there a couple months before me, and really a whole brand new leadership team. And the opportunity now that we've turned over this calendar year to have significant impact is real. And I just love seeing things come to life. As I'm building my team, seeing the business start to get excited about what we're doing in marketing and start to believe in our mission and see incremental change happening because of some of the added value that we're driving early on, I'm excited about that. I mean, separately, I'm just excited. I've got a daughter who's a senior in college who's about to graduate. I'm so excited to see what happens with her. I've got another daughter who's a sophomore in college who's going to study abroad in the fall. I'm so excited to see where she goes. So I'm hella excited about a lot more than just my job.
I love your excitement. And I agree.
Oh yeah, I just booked my first concert of the year. So I'm like really excited about all the things I'm going to do in my personal life. So the idea is always to have something to be excited about.
Yeah, I agree with you. When people are, I've tried doing kind of that dry January, but I've just gone down to the moist January instead. So
yeah, I tried to do dry January too, and then I was talking to somebody and they're like, do you drink a lot? And I'm like, not really. And they're like, then you're not really going to make an incremental difference in your life. And I was like, oh, well, I guess why not? Why waste my time then?
So kind of speaking about your new role and a new year for you, how do you kind of approach the challenges as you are switching organizations, going from one strategy to another?
You know what, AJ, that's probably something I have to do better at because I want to do everything. Like I see the opportunity to do so much and to do it so big. And this is something I really have to work on. And that's to do a better job at taking baby steps and seeing just value in taking those little incremental small steps that for me, they feel like just such tiny little things, but really for the company, they're monumental shifts and changes. And I have to be better at that. So I would say, probably one of the things that I have to work on is my strategy in terms of really focusing on baby steps to ultimately get to the big swings that I really want to take.
Janis, before I ask my couple questions here, what concert are you going to? What's the first one you're going to? What's your book?
Well, I just booked Billy Joel and Rod Stewart at Yankee Stadium.
Oh, nice.
So that's not until the summer, but there'll be hopefully, 6 more leading up to that. But I just bought the tickets yesterday for that one.
Oh, that's awesome. Yeah, I got to see Billy Joel here in the Garden where I was like, wait a minute, what's all the fuss about? I saw it, I'm like, and then it's amazing. He goes on at like 8:03, there's no opener, and he just kills it.
That's the thing. When you go to see those people who are senior citizens, they start right on time.
Oh yeah.
There's no screwing around. And I grew up on Long Island, so it's like a requirement.
That's awesome. That's a great concert to book. But you did it. You booked it. It's something to look forward to. Love it.
I also just booked yesterday a polar plunge for February. So
That's insane.
gotta have some crazy stuff to do. Yeah.
AJ, do you know what a polar plunge is, living in San Antonio with 103-degree weather?
Does it involve an ice bath? That's what
It
people
involves
in
getting
California do.
in the water in the middle of the winter.
That's awesome.
Ah,
Yeah,
Yeah.
no, thank you, but I'm glad you're doing it. That's
Yeah,
great.
no, it's just a
Oh.
stupid thing to do to say you did it and put it on Instagram.
Love it. Love it. So, Janice, talk to me about the B2B space, right? That I'm in particular in, and you're in as well, of course. How do you make a company like DXC stand out in the B2B space in general, but just in your particular industry, right? Because a lot of people that you hear, it's not that sexy B2B. It's not that fun. And so I think it's fun and sexy, but how do you make it stand out?
It's not easy. It's a challenge. And it's a challenge. It's one that, I'm challenging. Actually, we just had a call earlier today, and I've challenged my team to try to articulate what our value proposition is in certain spaces. I think a big mistake that a lot of B2B companies make, and this is, I'll take this from my experience at IBM, at SAP, and even at BNY Mellon, which was a B2B bank, is we tend to think that when we're operating in a B2B space, that our buyers have somehow turned off their human. I know I've said this before, and we think that we could then engage with them in a way that doesn't recognize the fact that they are still going to be driven by emotion. They're still going to be excited by something that will personally influence them in some way, that'll get them a promotion, that'll make them look good with their boss, that'll get them more money, that'll make their job easier. And so, the one thing that I want to keep doing and do in this job and continue to take with me from the last jobs is continue to treat the way we market ourselves as still a business of marketing to humans, and not losing that in the messages around technology and the messages around, the fact that we're a B2B. I don't think B2B really matters when you come down to it. You think you have to identify the value, you have to identify your differentiation, and then you have to ultimately be able to reach somebody in their heart and their minds.
Exactly. It's those decision makers, although they have a particular company in their email, they're humans and they're decision makers, they're people. And I think, yeah, a lot of those boundaries during that COVID time, they're down, right? You see people, you see people's kids running around, you see a cat jumping on your computer. All people, they're making decisions. I love it. Love it. Janice, I want to talk to you about, because, you have experience in organizing events for your organization. What are some events? Again, as AJ said, it's the beginning of the year. This will be great for our listeners. What are some events you're looking forward to, maybe going to, exhibiting at? Talk to us about it.
Yeah, we're doing a lot of big events. Tis the season. My team is incredibly overworked and tired right now. So shout out to my team right now, who's really doing incredible work with you never have enough. We're going to a lot of our partner events. We partner with a lot of companies, some of the companies that I used to work for, like SAP. So we'll be at SAP's big flagship event, along with others like ServiceNow, NVIDIA, which is a hot company right now in the technology space, specifically in the AI space. We're going to an AI event in Cannes, France, coming up next month. I could rattle off so many others. We do a lot of events with our analysts. We do a lot of events with advisors. We do a lot of industry events. We just had a presence at CES last week. So there are quite a few coming up, really. A long list. And if I say it, I may have an anxiety issue on air here, but quite a few coming up. And what we're doing is we're really taking a very thoughtful approach to each of those events, and to be thinking through, not all are created equal, and where do we want to make an investment to drive the greatest ROI. And that's ultimately what we're looking at. Is we're going to these events not because we want to be the biggest and not because we want to be the best and not because we want to be able to be seen from, 100 feet away. We're going because ultimately we want to drive business. We want to drive opportunity. We want to make our sellers' job easier. And so how are we looking at each of these events individually, making investments, showing up in a way that's ultimately going to drive those opportunities and pipeline and close deals? So we're putting a lot of thought into everything at a very individual basis right now. It's a lot of work.
Yeah, it looks like your event is a big focus for you guys, and it's more than other companies we have heard. You're using events quite effectively.
Every company that I worked with, events were a key part of our strategy and one of the top 3 probably investment lines on a marketing budget, because they are extremely expensive. So, you have advertising and a lot of expensive line items on your budget, but events are always in the top 3. I will say that, I've only been here for a couple of months, but, kudos to our CMO, who I think the disciplined approach that she and our leadership team are taking to events is going to put us ahead of our competition and even most, if not all, of the companies that I used to work for, where we're taking a super disciplined approach and being incredibly accountable for what we drive and deliver with regards to our investment in these events. So I don't think our dependency on events is that much bigger than other companies in this space. Everybody's doing it. I really do believe we're doing it differently. And I'm very proud to be associated with that. I've seen it done in other places, and I think our discipline is going to hopefully set us apart.
And then what are some of the other marketing efforts you use to supplement the events as well as to strengthen the long-term relationships with clients and partners?
One of our key assets that we use in terms of marketing are client stories. And there's a lot of power in client stories. And that's the best way that we're able to translate what we do for others, to be able to say, look, here's where we did it before, and they're willing to speak on our behalf. And we can tell that story, and here's how it's applicable to what you're doing and to what your challenges are. So client stories are one of the most powerful tools any B2B technology company can use. The other strategy that many of us rely on, and it's also a very powerful tool, is thought leadership. I mean, part of what sets you apart from your competitors is being really smart and having a point of view on new technologies that are very disruptive and are changing the course of what a company's plans were. So if you look at, cloud a few years ago, if you look at AI now, if you look at quantum coming up, if you look at, who knows what's next, but we should have a point of view on that. We should have some beliefs on that. We should have some thoughts on what a company should be doing in order to get ahead of their competition. And thought leadership is a really important component. So those are 2 strategies and investments that we make, and I've made at all of our companies, all the companies that I've worked at in the past.
Well, I have a fun question for you.
Yay, bring it on.
This is one we ask all of our guests. So I'm sure you get a lot of LinkedIn messages based on your title and jobs and where you've worked before. And I'm sure a lot of them are kind of, cold outreaches and spam. So what's kind of one that gets a response from you? And more importantly, what's one that annoys you?
Oh, wow. I wasn't prepared for this. So and you probably sent it to me and I didn't look at it. And LinkedIn that gets a response from me is, do you want to be on this podcast? Because yeah, sure, that's fun. So that's an easy one, right? Give me something where I get to talk, I get to hang out for an hour, I don't have to do that much preparation, I'm in. I do like it when somebody's paid attention to actually where I've been and where I'm going, and they send me something that's relevant to my job and says, hey, do you want to meet up while we're there? Because I will respond and say, yeah, sure. If you're going to be there and I'm going to be there, let's get together. The ones I don't like are the ones that are just literally the cold calls, the ones that are just, as soon as I see in mail and do you want to buy this? And particularly where it has absolutely no relevancy to what I do. Like a lot of people want to sell me lists and things like that. And I'm like, did you see my job? Like, I don't have anything to do with that whatsoever. They're easy deletes. So maybe the glass is half full, but I don't appreciate it when nobody's put any thought into what I do, and they've sent me the email LinkedIn. But if you want me to be on a podcast, I'll talk about anything.
So you hear that, listeners? If you want to get Janis's attention, start your own podcast.
Sure, yeah. How do I build a car? How do I anything? I'm there.
Yeah. What about a reference to, Penn State? What about a reference, it
Want me to
all
talk about
depends.
Penn State football? It's a little bit of a sore subject right now, but we did
I
end
know.
up one of the top 4 teams in the country, and I'm proud
Yep.
of what we did, although I'm still somewhat recovering from a very sad loss.
I know. I'm hoping that the Giants draft that one play, the defensive end that you guys have. He's great. We'll talk about it because I want to talk about.
Oh, the tight end.
Yeah, he's good. Yeah,
Yeah.
there's like a lot of players. We have
By the way, I'm an Eagles fan now, so.
I know we're going to get to it. I'm very disappointed.
I know.
So, I have one more question before we get into the personal side and wrap up. But Janis, you've been at some great companies. You've been a leader at these companies. How do you feel that your leadership style has evolved?
I'm very honest with my team, but I feel like over time I've probably become more and more protective of my team. I value them so much, and maybe too protective of my team. I don't know, but I really try to shield them from so much sometimes that we have to deal with as leaders, because I just want them to be happy, and I want them to feel secure, and I want them to feel supported. And I think my leadership style has probably, I don't know if my team sees it, but I know I feel it, much more protective of my team than I have as time goes by. And maybe that's just because, I'm a mom now and I've become sort of more nurturing and protecting, but I really, really try to shield and protect my team a great deal more than I probably have in the past.
Yeah. Oh, and an Italian mother. That's like my mom. That's right. That's
You know what? My
that's
mother she's still alive, so I don't want to make it sound like she's not. Kate, because she'll probably listen to this podcast.
Nice, please.
She was and is not your typical Italian mother. She was not the nurturing, hug 'em, make me cookies.
Oh no.
No.
Yeah.
And neither was I. So.
Oh no! Wow, my mother would have loved it if, like, me and my wife moved in with her.
Oh God,
or had like an ensuite. And I was like, Mom, I live in Manhattan. It's $1 million for one extra room.
That's so funny. No, your mother is more the stereotype. My parents barely stopped the car when they dropped me off at Penn State and then made my room into an office. So.
Oh no.
Yeah. And I love them and love spending time with them. They're like two of my, I would have picked them if God had given me a choice, but they were definitely not the traditional Italian parents out of the sitcoms.
Oh, nice. Well,
It
yeah.
was not Everybody Loves Raymond in my house.
No, it wasn't, right? Well, so Janis, talk to us. Thank you so much for sharing all that. Let's get to know you personally, right? So this is our little beef, you and I. You're born and raised in New York.
In Long Island, yeah.
And Long Island, you are a New Yorker at heart. You live in Pennsylvania now, right? So you now are a Eagle fan.
Yeah.
I don't know. When did this happen? Why?
It happened just a couple of years ago. It was gradual. But when the Giants finally let Saquon Barkley go, I was, I'm a diehard Penn Stater. I went to Penn State. I was an OG fan of Saquon. When he finally came to the Giants, I was like, that's it. There was a Giants Eagles game. My daughter looked at me and said, "Who are you rooting for, Mom?" And I was like, the Eagles. And then I went, oh, it happened. So that was it. I mean, I'm still a Mets fan till the day I die. So I haven't made the switch over. But yeah, no, it was last year when Saquon Barkley came over, and now he broke 2,000 rushing yards, and the Eagles have won the wild card game the other day, and I'm all in. Go Birds! I should have worn my I have a Go Birds.
Oh no, I'm glad you didn't. I'm glad I didn't. I know that. Well, in this case, I would have rather worn a Go Bird shirt than this cream colored sweater that I have on. But but tell us about what you like to do for fun. Sports fan, awesome. What do you concert goer, risks taker, plunger, right?
Totally. Anything that requires a waiver. I have a best friend who, luckily, she's the person who just, we were driving in the car recently and she goes, I want to do a triathlon. And I went, all right. And then I went, I don't know how to swim. So now we're going to take swimming lessons. And then she texted me the other day and said polar plunge. And I was like, okay. So I love to bike ride. I'm a very avid bike ride. Every year I do a 100-mile bike ride. And this year I'm going to do a triathlon because I've never done it. And so, yeah, I'm an avid risk taker. I'm an avid waiver signer, concert goer, live music, traveler. I love to travel everywhere. I've been to all 6 continents. I, haven't hit Antarctica yet, and I probably won't because I don't know. It would just be to check the box. It doesn't feel like that much fun, but maybe. The only thing I don't like to do is go on spinny things because I'll get sick. And the only risk that I won't take is I've never had a cup of coffee and I have no desire to. So that's probably the only weird thing. Yeah.
That is that. I've never heard of that. I've heard some.
I'll literally jump out of a plane, but I will not drink a cup of coffee.
But this much, I love it. But I love the energy. That's natural New York energy. That's
amazing. I had a matcha this morning.
You might have met your match, Vincent.
I know, with energy, and I have a lot of energy, but I still need coffee. I need a little bit of. I drink my coffee slow. This is from this morning.
I was at a meeting once, and they asked us to say the most interesting thing about ourselves, and I was like, "Oh my God, I don't have anything interesting about." And I was really struggling, and there were all these people who had like climbed Mount Kilimanjaro and blah blah blah, and I'm like, I don't know. I've never had a cup of coffee. And the whole room stopped. And I was like, oh God, now I can never have a cup of coffee because if not, there's literally nothing interesting about me. So now I'm never going to have a cup of coffee.
That's funny. AJ, you just started drinking coffee, right? It's like, as the bigger the company gets, you were just like, I'm going to need coffee now.
I almost never drink hot coffee. Maybe like I can count in one hand how many times I've had hot coffee, but I do drink the cold coffee, although usually I'm having a cold tea of some kind, or I will drink hot tea occasionally as well. But most of the time it's like a cold nitro brew or something.
Nice. Yeah, you got to see that dude on Nitro Energy. He kicks it right up. It's a sight to see. But yeah, Janis, this has been awesome. Thank you so much for being here. We have to meet in person because
I love it. I'm in New York right now. I'm up here all the time.
Oh, nice. Yeah, you got to let me know. We coordinate something. This is great. I'm so glad that Peter recommended you. And this has been awesome. Ladies and gentlemen, that is Janis Fratamico, Vice President Marketing at DXC Technology. I'm Vincent Pietrafesa. That's Ajay Gupta. Thank you so much for listening, and we'll talk to you soon.
Thanks for listening to the Marketing Stir podcast by Stirista. Please like and subscribe. If you're interested in being a guest on the podcast, please email us at themarketingstir@stirista.com.